In this video, we show how you can do validation on the search part of a grid component before the search is actually submitted. And the validation is going to be done client-side, so it'll be very fast. So you can see we've got a grid with the search part on the order date field, and we've set the search part, the order date field, to be a range search. So what we'd like to do is we'd like to confirm when we hit the search button that the user has in fact entered values. So if I go here and I click this button right now, you can see I get an error that says you must specify the start and the end dates. Then if I go here and I specify a start date over there and an end date that is junk, and then do search, you can see it says that the to date is not valid. And finally, if I go here and I enter a date that is before the start date, so this is an invalid range because the end date is before the start date. So if we press this button, we get a message saying that the end date must be after the start date. So this validation is all done using a client-side property here. You can see that we have on the search part here, if we go to client-side, we see that there's a client-side event called CanSearch submit. And this event, basically, if it returns false, then it aborts the search. But because we're using a range search, we can't use the standard grid.object.getValue to retrieve the values in the search part. So instead, what we've done over here is we've said that the ID for the start is going to be this, and the ID for the end is going to be this. And we got that data, we got these IDs by looking at the components. So if we go into working preview now, and then we open up the Chrome debugger, and then we go look at, say, this field over there, we'll see that the ID for the field is grid1, which is the grid.component name .s, and then order date is the name of the search field. And then if we go look at the to value over here, which is this one, we see that the ID has underbar 2 in it. So that's how we got these two IDs over there. And then once we have those two IDs, we basically get a pointer to the object, and then we read the .value property. So that gives us the actual value inside the to field and the from field. And then we're saying that if the from field or the to field is blank, then we're going to return false. We're going to cancel the search and give an error message that says you must specify the start and the end date. Then in order to validate that the user actually entered the valid dates, we say that the date format that the user is expected to use is month, month, day, day, year, year. So we're going to create a date object over there. And then we're going to use the from format method, which is one of the built-in methods in the Alpha Anywhere JavaScript library. And we're going to turn this string value, FF, into a date value by using the from format. And then we're going to use the to format to convert it back to a string. So if the converted value is not equal to the input value, then the date is not valid. So you can see how we say that if FFF is not equal to FF, then alert date not valid. And then we just return false, and we do the same thing for the to date. And then here we basically compute the number of days between the end date and the start date. And in order to convert the number of days between two date values in JavaScript, you subtract the two date values, and then you divide by the number of hours in a day times minutes times seconds divided by 1,000. So that gives us the number of days between the two dates. And if the diff is less than 0, that means that the start date is after the end date, which is invalid. So therefore we return an error. And then we say that if the number of days between the two dates is greater than 365, we're also going to prevent the search from taking place. So what we've shown in this video is how we can use the client-side events, the before search event, to validate the data in the search part before the search is actually submitted to the server. Thanks very much for watching.